Hi, and thank you for joining us today on Become Involved, a series that focuses on the boards and committees that are part of the town of Merrimack. I am Barbara Healy. I'm one of your town councilors, and I'm also the liaison to the planning board. With me today as our guest is Bob Best, who is the chair of the planning board and who's going to try to help us understand the function of the planning board and what it does. Bob, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, I'm glad to be here, Barbara. What can I help you with?
Well, you know, one of the questions we see a lot from people is, what does the planning board do? What's its purpose? And why does it approve everything?
Great questions. So the biggest, most important thing the planning board does is develop the master plan for the community. And you do that about once every 10 years. It takes a look at housing and transportation and natural resources and open space and the environment and infrastructure, and develops a master plan for what the vision of the community is. And the entire community can come be a part of that. That master plan is what guides us as we move on and we make decisions based on commercial developments and subdivisions. And we also get involved with the capital improvement plan for the town and for the school board. And we also would propose amendments to the zoning ordinance if those are appropriate.
Great. So in order to become a member on the planning board, do you need any special education, any kind of background in engineering or construction? What does it take to be a member on the board?
No, you don't need any of that special training or special background, although a lot of members do have it. You need some interest and a passion and the willingness to do some homework and learn and read the materials that are provided to you and learn and read what our ordinances require and understand how to apply those. And everything else you'll learn as you go. Okay.
So no special training is needed?
None at all.
Okay. So when the board is meeting, how often does it meet, and what are the types of things you're looking at?
Sure. Well, the planning board usually meets twice a month, although we can meet more often than that if there's a need. And sometimes a holiday will pop up and we'll have a little bit less than two a month. And at those meetings, the main two things that we look at are commercial site plans and residential subdivisions. And then there's also a collection of minor things that are less frequent that we will look at, like a home occupation, which means somebody's business that they do out of their home. We would also look at approving lot line adjustments and minor subdivisions that people have that they've got proposed for doing business in the town.
And help me understand, what is the difference between the planning board and the zoning board? Because a lot of times you hear those two mentioned almost in tandem with each other.
They are, and they're two of the main land use boards that municipalities have in New Hampshire, but their functions are very different. So the planning board takes a look at what our regulations are, and it sees how someone's proposal fits into it. Do they have enough parking? Is the building set back from the road the way that it should be and from the sidelines as it should be? Does it have the right lighting, and does it handle the rainwater drainage correctly? And that's kind of the aspects of a commercial site plan. And in a subdivision, you might look at how much road frontage somebody has and how big the lots are and whether there's any wetlands on the property. We use the zoning ordinance to do that, and we approve things when someone meets all of the standards in the zoning ordinance as well as our subdivision and site plan regulations. When you don't meet those regulations, but you want to move your project forward anyway, that's when you go to the zoning board and you ask their permission based on certain statutory criteria to vary from the rules. And if the zoning board approves that, they give you a variance, which allows you to depart from something that's in the zoning regulations. So we do quite different things. They look at what uses that you're going to do on the property and whether you're complying with all the regulations. And if you're not complying with them, they can give you some relief. We're much more technical in terms of the physically drainage and wetlands and traffic flow, and are the parking spaces big enough and are the roads wide enough and all of those kinds of details.
I know that's been one of the things I had to get used to, was looking at these great big maps, if you will, or plates, the technical term, on what was being planned for the building and the surroundings. So it's been very interesting. So would you say for the last year, what's been your most challenging project that the board has been dealing with?
Well, you know, we've had quite a lot of apartment developments around town. There's 3 or 4 of them that are underway already, and a few others that are being proposed. And those always develop a lot of interest among people in the community because people are concerned about traffic, and they're concerned about the impact on the schools of bringing in more children, and they're concerned about the impact on taxes and police resources and fire resources. And so those always develop a lot of interest. Probably the one that's developed the most interest recently is the development in front of the Premium Outlet Mall at the base of the hill as you go in there, where there's a whole lot of residential development proposed, and then some need to do some commercial development along with it.
So is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the planning board?
Well, you know, the planning board, as most boards do, frequently has openings for people to come volunteer, and I encourage people to come down and see what we're doing. We have one vacant alternate position right now, and that varies from time to time. That's actually a pretty low vacancy rate. Usually we've got some full-time, full member positions available as well. Right now, at the moment, we don't, although that could change anytime. But come to the meeting and weigh in or watch it on television and find out what it's about. You know, I see all the time that people are concerned, did somebody consider the traffic on this proposal? Did somebody consider the way this is going to impact the woods or the wetlands or the animals and things? And the answer is yes, we do. We do consider all of those things, but you wouldn't know unless you watch the meeting.
Right.
So
Right.
come and get engaged.
So Bob, thank you so much for coming today and telling us about the planning board and what its function is here in the town as far as all of the building and construction taking place. And thank you, Merrimack, for joining us today on Become Involved, a show that talks about the different boards and committees that take place here in the town of Merrimack. If you want to learn more about these committees and boards and any possible open positions, you can find that information on the Town of Merrimack website at merrimacknh.gov and become involved.